All right, so welcome to 5 pros and 5 cons of living in
Edgeworth, Pennsylvania.
All right, so we're just gonna jump right into it. Actually, before we do that, please hit the subscribe button in front of her face, hit the bell in front of my face, and click on notifications so you don't ever miss a video of living in Pittsburgh. All right, you ready? Let's get started. Pro number 1 is going to be walkability. So we have a walk score of
34 out of 100.
which we dispute.
Although the walk score is only 34 out of 100, Edgeworth is actually a very walkable community. It's very safe streets, very quiet streets. Whenever you go to the neighborhood, you see a lot of families out there walking their dogs, walking their kids, going on walks together in the evenings.
So I had a listing in Edgeworth, and the name of the road I'm gonna keep private, and it was a flip, and I had never been to Edgeworth before, and just backing up what she says is I was surprised when I pulled into the roads getting there and the roads there. So there were sidewalks, a lot of cul-de-sacs, and the roads were super wide if you wanted to park your car on it. And I was amazed. Now, it was summer, obviously, but there were a lot of people walking dogs, and there were a lot of people with their families kicking the ball, throwing frisbee, and everything else in the front yard, which I thought it's not walkable in the sense you're going to go out your front door and there's going to be Starbucks right there. I mean,
you can walk down to Leetsdale or you can walk to Swickley. You know, in terms of walkability, like Brian said, you can't go outside and get your Starbucks right outside, but you can walk to Leetsdale Shopping Center, which has a lot of convenience stores. It has a Giant Eagle, a gas station, a dollar store, a nail salon. You can also walk into the village of Swickley, which has some high-end restaurants and boutique shopping.
It's pretty much flat, unless
Very
you
flat.
wanted to go walk up in the hills.
Yep.
So if you are the type of walker that is just going to walk out to get milk, it's probably a 34 out of 100. If you're the type of walker that's counting your steps and you don't want to jog because of lower body issues or something like that, it's a fantastic place to walk. So that's what we're going to wrap it up with. So con number 1 is we're going to piggyback that off of pro number 1, and that is that it is not easily walkable to shops of downtown Swickley.
Exactly. So whenever you're in Swickley, you can walk outside and go a very short distance to get groceries that you need at Saffron's Market. You can go shopping, you can go to Starbucks, you can go out to dinner. Edgeworth doesn't have that right outside your door like Swickley does. So if you're looking to step outside, not get in your car, and have that right at your convenience, Edgeworth is a little bit farther away, but again, it's just a few minute drive. It's just not right outside your door like Swickley is.
Con is if you want to walk out and be right in all the action, ain't gonna happen. Okay, pro number 2 is excellent education, public and private schools. Now, it is the Quaker Valley School District, which is ranked number 19 in the entire state of Pennsylvania, and number 6 in the greater Pittsburgh metro area, and number 792 in the national rankings. And Laura has graduated from this great school district, and she's going to talk a little bit about it.
Yeah, so I was fortunate enough to go both to Quaker Valley and Swickley Academy. So I actually grew up on Edgeworth Lane in Edgeworth. My mom traveled a lot, my dad was busy, and I have 2 older sisters, and we felt completely safe walking to Edgeworth Elementary every day, and my parents felt safe. And again, I would walk some days I would drive if I was lazy, but you could really walk if you lived in the heart of Edgeworth.
Is there just a couple seconds for those of us that aren't familiar with the area, may not even, may have just heard of Pittsburgh. Swickley Academy is a private school or a public school?
Swickley Academy is a private school, K through 12. It's one of the best private schools in the state.
Yeah, I've never attended or even stepped foot in the Swickley Academy, but being in the greater Pittsburgh area, I've heard a lot about it. So do your due diligence and see if it's for you. All right, con number 2 is I'm going to talk about the architecture just a little bit. They are all high-end homes, most of them in Edgeworth, and the floor plans are not going to be what most buyers are seeking today. So, and don't be surprised in some of these houses if they have galley kitchens, if they're really old castle-esque style, because you have like a butler's pantry and you got just a little galley kitchen and a prep station and all that. So it depends what type of home you get. So there's been a lot of homes that have been renovated where they will blow out walls because they know that they need to make the floor plan a little bit more usable inside. If you find something that hasn't been updated, you will will find that old tile that is like forever glued onto the walls. And if you ever try busting off, you think it's gonna come off in like one piece of tile, and it comes off in little chips, and then you're blowing out your elbows, etc. So those are the type of interior architecture. Now, when it comes to the exterior, you will find no stucco, no hardy backer board, probably not very much siding, unless it's wood because it was built in the 1800s. But most of it's going to be brick and stone, or a combination of brick and stone. What do you think?
Yeah, absolutely. You'll have a brick house next to a stone house, next to a slate Cape Cod style house. So there's a lot of variety in Edgeworth. And like Brian said, it's not your typical new construction, which, you know, it gives it some unique charm and a unique aesthetic, and your house will not look like the house next to you. However, it is a little bit more dated than most people are speaking today.
All right, that's con number 2. All right, pro number 3 is it is a very tight-knit community. It's the type of community whenever you're growing up and you saw movies on the O network where people are, you know, out having parties on the street and everybody's helping everybody out, bringing milk and cookies.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, from growing up there, we had block parties all the time. You know, my family had a big yard. We would have everyone over for the 4th of July, and it was an open invitation. On Christmas Eve night, the whole town does Luminaria, which if you don't know, you like the little white bags outside your house. So it's a super tight-knit community. Kids playing hockey in the streets or kicking a soccer ball together. And you know, all the families really know each other.
And make sure if you are thinking of moving into Edgeworth and or Sewickley that you drop a comment, DM, call, text me, and we will get you connected with the right house.
Absolutely.
All right, so con number 3 is, in most cases, is going to be pretty much pulled right off of pro number 3, and that is, it is a tight-knit community. So if you are of a private nature, I'm certainly not saying you can't live in Edgeworth. I'm sure there are a lot of introverts, much like myself, that live there and come out for different activities here and there, but may not be into every single activity that's going on. So that could also be a con. So when you have friends in different parts of the state, country, whatever, you can kind of get away. You can end the Zoom call, hang your phone up. But you know, if you're having, you know, your whole street up in your business, that may be kind of a problem. That kind of goes back to the bubble thing we were just talking about.
It's a pro that you have your community, but at the same time, when you are in such a small community, which Edgeworth is, everyone kind of knows each other, and it can get a bit bubbly, a bit gossipy, and you know, as Brian said, there are some side streets where you can go down and you're tucked away and you have your big yard and you're a bit away from it. But you know, other than that, everyone has their yards that are really open to each other. Everyone's out and about gardening or walking or playing sports. You'll see a neighbor pass by or two, and you know, you'll have that small talk. So if you're really looking for some privacy, especially in the daytime, then you know, Edgeworth really isn't the place for you.
Right, and something else, there's a stat I saw come across the internet a couple of weeks ago, and I think I even posted on my social medias, and that is that Pittsburgh in general is one of those cities where we have a lot of long-timers. So that would be, and my parents are definitely an example of that. In Edgeworth and Sewickley, do you feel like there's a lot of 20, 30-year-olds, 40-year-olds, or you think it's a lot of 50, 60, 70, and 80-year-olds?
You know what? It's a mix. What's interesting to that, and you know, I'm in the 30s demographic, and a lot of my friends' parents have been there and they are still there, including my own, and they plan to stay there forever. But what I'm also noticing is, you know, friends in, you know, 20s, 30s, 40s are now moving back to Edgeworth and Sewickley. Again, it's a lot of repetitive families who have known each other for a long time. So if you're really looking for a fresh start somewhere and have that privacy and really not be involved in the community, then it's probably not the place.
All right, so that is con number 3. Pro number 4 is going to be just the proximity to major arteries to get you either to, well, the 2 hotspots I would say in the Greater Pittsburgh area is downtown and the International Airport.
Yep, absolutely. So, you know, 65 and 79 are right outside of Edgeworth. You know, you go right on it, you can go down to Beaver, you can cross the Sewickley Bridge and get to the airport in 15 to 20 minutes.
And I think the airport's probably a little closer to Edgeworth, or Edgeworth's a little closer to the airport than it would be to downtown core. So as a traveling realtor, I've been up there many times, and if you want to go 79 is a major highway with no stoplights, no businesses off to the side. It'll be a longer mileage, but it could, that's why I always use Waze, it could be quicker compared to 65, which is loaded with the center lanes. So you can turn off lanes, businesses, stoplights. I would always recommend Wazing before you go, but those are your 2 main arteries.
Yeah, absolutely. And then, you know, once you hop over the Sewickley Bridge, you're You're right by Coriopolis, Moon, Robert Morris University, University Boulevard with a lot of shopping, and again, you're right by the airport there as well.
Cool, all right. Pro number 4. So con number 4 is going to be, we had talked about walking to the inner city of Sewickley or downtown Sewickley and those little cute little shops. Con number 4 is going to be, there really isn't any mainstream shopping at all, really, right? I mean, maybe is there a Starbucks?
There's a Starbucks and there's Banks, but that's really it. And there's a J. McLaughlin. But you know, if you are looking for Apple, if you're looking for Sephora, a Lululemon, anything like that, you really have to drive to Shadyside, Robinson Town Center, or Ross Park Mall. So although Sewickley is great for those boutique shops that are unique to the town, if you want to go and have a day at the mall, or go buy some new workout clothes, go make some returns at mainstream store, you have to get in your car and drive at least about 20 minutes.
But I think that adds to the charm of the Sewickley, Edgeworth area, is you don't have a lot of commercial businesses. You don't have a lot of people needing to come in and out unless they actually live there.
Yeah, exactly. The foot traffic is primarily locals.
And that is con number 4. Okay, so for our last pro number 5, we're going to flip con number 4, and that is there isn't a lot of traffic or commercial or major industry in the Edgeworth area.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it is so nice to walk around Sewickley and not wait in lines at stores like you see, in other areas within the city. We have House 15143, there's Gather, there's stores like Bellwether and Lexington and Soho of Sewickley, and these are boutiques that really draw in the neighborhood crowd, and you can find unique pieces and unique clothing and jewelry and accessories and gifts that you're not going to find in mainstream stores. And it makes the town feel really special and really unique, and that you're getting something that other people don't have.
And none of those places you listed are anywhere else, correct?
They are not.
Right, so they're indigenous to the Sewickley, Edgeworth area. The opportunity for jobs is probably pretty low. There's probably a decent amount of business owners and stuff like that, but most people, I think it's majority of it is residential.
Majority is residential, and then the jobs there and the businesses that are there are restaurants and retail and service, like the Giant Eagle and the nail salons and the gas stations. There are a few offices in the heart of Sewickley, boutique firms, and most of those offices are run by people who really grew up and live in Sewickley, which again makes the community feel very unique and very close.
Right, I've got to tell you, as an outsider, we'll call myself. I don't live in Sewickley, Edgeworth. I've never had any family or anything like that. I never really go there. I mean, if she wanted to, hey, we want to do a video out there, and meet me out there, I would meet her out there. I marked an agent in my office, had an office out there, so we would meet here and there, but it's basically in that bubble. It's people within itself. So that is going to be our last pro number 5. All right, so con number 5, our last con, we saved the best for last, and that is going to be something that's near and dear to our heart, and that is real estate. It is expensive to buy a house in Sewickley and Edgeworth. I don't even know if there are starter homes in Edgeworth. Like, what do you think the least expensive home is?
There are a few starter homes in Edgeworth. There are a couple little side streets that have, smaller yards. You're closer to your neighbor. And I would say that those start around the mid-3s. Now, you could get a much larger home in the mid-3s in other parts of the city, but the housing market in Edgeworth is extremely competitive. If you are priced under $500,000-$600,000, it goes very quickly, and the house may not be that big. So you think of that in other areas, you think a lot of space, a big yard. In Edgeworth, you are buying and you are paying that price to get into the neighborhood. Right. And a lot of the homes can go up into the millions, several million. These big, beautiful estates that are kind of tucked away with larger yards. But it's a very expensive place to live because the community is so great.
Right. I don't think there are any condos or townhouses or apartment buildings, are there?
There are not. There's nearby in Emsworth and also in Sewickley, but in Edgeworth, it is all single-family homes.
And a lot of these homes were big, and they were, wealthy people back in the early 1900s.
Yeah, that and a police station and an elementary school.
Do they have a fire station?
No, there's not. We share it with Sewickley, but there is a police station. Don't ask why I know.
And listen, I think that all residential and lack of industry and lack of commercialization is probably a reason why the home values are so high. It's just all people that CEOs of businesses, doctors and lawyers, pretty much that, and we don't have those stats, that live there and then travel into town or whatever. So if you are a doctor, lawyer, or somebody rich, make sure you contact Laura and we will get you in Edgeworth. Hope you enjoyed the video. Hit the subscribe button, hit the bell, and click on notifications, and we'll see you on the next one.